Good day, and I am Dr. Nilda V. SanMiguel. With us is Dr. Eva Marie S. Cambe.
And I am Dr. Elimar A. Pascual from DepEd Laguna, Philippines. Our study is entitled Communication Barriers in Classroom Discussions, a study on code switching practices of teachers.
DepEd Order Number 20, Series of 2025, reaffirms this multilingual vision by prescribing Filipino and English as the primary media of instruction from kindergarten to grade 3, while retaining learners' mother tongue as auxiliary or bridging languages. Anchored within this policy milieu, our study, undertaken by 3 researchers, intends to explore how teachers in the DepEd Santa Cruz sub-office employ code switching during classroom discussions, and whether such practices alleviate communication barriers among learners. According to De Los Reyes and Bagona, and also Velasco from their studies in 2024, across multilingual classrooms, code switching and translanguaging are widely reported as purposeful strategies that help teachers scaffold meaning, sustain participation, and reduce comprehension breakdowns, especially when learners are transitioning across languages of schooling. In the Philippines, large-scale language in education shifts have renewed attention to these practices. From DepEd Order Number 20, Series of 2025, it defines that Filipino and English as the primary media of instruction from kinder to grade 3, but explicitly allows regional languages as auxiliary resources and recognizes translanguaging and oral scaffolding to prevent language from becoming a barrier to learning.
Recent Philippine and regional evidence further clarifies how and when language alternation mitigates communication barriers during discussions. Elementary science lessons in highly multilingual cities used translanguaging for key communicative functions. For example, revoicing, clarifying, and bridging terminology, demonstrating measurable support for comprehension without displacing the development of Filipino and English. This is according to De Los Reyes and Bagona of 2024.
This study primarily aims to examine how the code switching practices of English teachers in grades 4 to 6 under the Department of Education, Santa Cruz Sub-Office, contribute to communication barriers during classroom discussions. Specifically, it sought to deal with the following concerns. The first one, frequently of using code switching during classroom discussions. Also, the forms of code switching most commonly employed by English teachers. Reasons of teachers for using code switching. Also, the communication barriers, effects of code switching, and the strategies to minimize communication barriers.
The scope of this study is limited to English teachers only, and data was gathered primarily through a survey questionnaire. As such, the findings reflected self-reported practices and perceptions rather than direct classroom observations, and may not capture all nuances of actual classroom interactions. Moreover, the study did not include students' perspectives or the impact of code switching on actual learning outcomes, but instead highlighted the teachers' insights to provide a basis for understanding language practices at the district level.
The respondents of this study consisted of 80 English teachers handling grades 4 to 6 from public elementary schools under the Department of Education, Santa Cruz Sub-Office. The primary data of this study was gathered through a researcher-designed survey questionnaire. To facilitate accessibility and efficiency, the instrument was converted into Google Form and distributed to the participating schools.
In conducting this study, the researchers adhered to established ethical standards in educational research to ensure the integrity of the process and the protection of the respondents. This included informed consent, voluntary participation, confidentiality and anonymity, data privacy compliance, responsible data use, respect for respondents' time and workload, and honest and transparent reporting.
The data gathered from the Google Form survey was organized and analyzed using descriptive statistical tools such as frequency, percentage, mean, and standard deviation. Weighted mean was also computed to interpret the level of agreement on the perceived effect and strategies for managing code switching.
The table shows that teachers always use code switching in all listed classroom situations, as evidenced by the means ranging from 4.44 to 4.56, which fall in the range of the descriptor always. This result reinforces earlier studies cited in the Review of Related Literature. Bautista and Gonzalez of 2006 noted that code switching functions as a pedagogical scaffold in multilingual classrooms, especially where students' proficiency in English is limited.
The table shows that intersensual switching is the most frequently observed code switching style among the participants. This indicates that speakers often alternate between English and Filipino as well as mother tongue across whole sentences, suggesting a high comfort level in structuring complete ideas in both languages. Such switching often happens naturally when the speaker wants to emphasize a point, explain a concept in a more familiar language, or maintain conversational flow depending on the topic or audience.
The data reveal that teachers strongly agree with the listed reasons for using code switching in their classrooms. The results show that teachers use code switching strategically and intentionally, primarily to enhance comprehension, manage classroom dynamics, and support learners' diverse linguistic abilities.
The computed means reveal that teachers often experience communication barriers when code switching in classroom discussions, with an overall mean of 3.98. This is in relation with the study of Martin in 2014 and also the study of Probin in 2009, who reported that while code switching can scaffold comprehension, it can also create dependency on the first language, which is Filipino, and reduce learners' motivation to engage with the second language, which is English.
The results indicate that teachers strongly perceive code switching as beneficial to their students' learning experience. These findings support Martin of 2014 and Probin of 2015, who argued that code switching promotes comprehension and participation, particularly among learners with limited English proficiency.
The findings reveal that the most commonly adopted strategy by the teacher is using visual aids to support explanations. This result reinforces the theoretical arguments of Probin in his study in 2015 and Garcia and Wei from their study in 2014, which emphasizes that scaffolding tools such as visuals and pre-teaching key vocabulary are effective ways to mediate bilingual learning and to reduce reliance on code switching over time.
This study concludes that code switching is a deeply embedded and indispensable pedagogical tool in multilingual English classrooms. However, to maximize its benefits and minimize its barriers, it must be managed deliberately and systematically. Careful planning and clear guidelines can help educators use code switching effectively to support students' learning and language development.
For English teachers in grades 4 to 6, it is recommended to use code switching more strategically by gradually reducing reliance on mother tongue while progressively increasing English input. For school administrators and instructional leaders, it is recommended to design and implement professional development programs that focus on effective code switching strategies. And for curriculum planners and policymakers, it is suggested to integrate explicit guidelines on the pedagogical use of code switching in English curriculum.
For teacher education institutions, it is recommended to incorporate modules on multilingual pedagogy and code switching management into their pre-service training programs. For language researchers and educational scholars, it is advised to conduct further empirical studies on the long-term effects of code switching on learners' academic performance, motivation, and English language acquisition. For parents and guardians, it is recommended to actively support students' exposure to English outside the classroom through reading, conversations, and educational media.
This study has inspired researchers to become more critical and reflective about their own language practices as future educators and education specialists. The researchers realized that professional development programs should integrate training on managing code switching effectively, equipping teachers with strategies such as pre-teaching vocabulary and using visual aids. Ultimately, the study strengthened the researchers' commitment to promoting instructional practices that respect linguistic diversity while fostering English language growth. Thank you for watching and God bless everyone.